Welcome to Better Everyday, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of self-improvement, one book at a time. I'm Tom, your host, and along with my co-host Kelly, we'll be breaking down the key ideas from top self-improvement books and turning those insights into actionable steps you can apply to your life. Together, we're passionate about helping you grow and become your best self. Before we dive into today's episode, a quick reminder. If you're enjoying the show, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep bringing you more book deep dives every week. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. All right, let's get started. We hope you enjoy this episode and that it helps you become better every day.
Welcome to your deep dive on asking questions the Sandler way.
Okay.
You've shared some excerpts from Antonio Garrido's book.
Right.
And it looks like you're ready to sharpen your questioning skills in a sales context.
Yeah, definitely.
Get ready to uncover those hidden gems.
Okay.
I have a feeling this is going to change how you approach your sales conversations.
It's fascinating how this book really dives into the psychology behind successful selling.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about throwing out a bunch of techniques.
Right.
It's about understanding what makes your prospect tick and using that knowledge to guide the entire interaction.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit.
Sure.
The book starts by introducing the Sandler submarine,
Right.
which is their framework for a structured sales process.
That's right. So submarine is a great visual.
Yeah.
Each compartment needs to be watertight before you move on to the next.
Okay.
This emphasizes thoroughness in each stage of a sale, ensuring no crucial details slip through the cracks.
So no leaks allowed?
Exactly.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The book immediately challenges this assumption that buyers automatically hold all the power in a sales interaction.
Right.
Garrido encourages salespeople to establish what he calls equal business stature.
It's a powerful shift in mindset.
Yeah.
Instead of approaching the sale as a supplicant, begging for attention,
Right.
you're positioning yourself as a valuable resource, someone who's there to collaborate and help the prospect solve a problem.
Now that's a game changer. This idea of equality really sets the stage for the rest of the Sandler system, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From this foundation of equal business stature,
Right.
we can move into the specific techniques like how to strategically use questions to guide the conversation and uncover your prospect's true needs.
The book really digs deep into understanding a buyer's psychology, particularly the concept of ego states,
Okay.
parent, adult, and child.
Each ego state responds differently to questions and information.
Okay.
The child is driven by emotions and desires. The adult is logical and rational.
Yeah.
And the parent is focused on responsibility and authority.
This all sounds good in theory.
Right.
But how do we actually apply these ego states to our questions?
Okay.
Give me a concrete example.
Let's say you want to connect with the prospect's child, that emotional core.
Oh,
Instead of hitting them with a bunch of facts and figures,
Right.
you might ask something like, if you could wave a magic wand and fix this problem instantly, what would that feel like?
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
You're bypassing the logical adult brain and going straight for that emotional gut punch.
Exactly.
Oh.
You're getting them to visualize the positive outcome, which creates a desire for that outcome.
Right.
Then you can bring in the adult with rational justification and address any concerns the parent might have.
So you're essentially speaking to the whole person, not just a decision-making robot.
Precisely.
I like that a lot.
Now, another powerful technique the book highlights is reversing questions.
Okay, tell me more about this reversing technique.
Sure.
What's the strategy behind that?
Instead of directly answering a question from a prospect,
Okay.
you respond with another question, which allows you to maintain control of the conversation and uncover the motivation behind their initial question.
So instead of passively providing information,
Right.
you're actively guiding the conversation.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's say a prospect asks, can you deliver this by next week?
Okay.
Instead of a simple yes or no. You might say, that's a great question. Why is next week so critical for you?
Now they have to reveal what's really driving their need,
Yeah.
which gives you valuable information to tailor your response and address their specific concerns.
It's a subtle shift,
Yeah.
but it can make a huge difference in how the interaction unfolds.
Yeah.
This ties back to establishing that equal business stature. You're not just taking orders.
Right.
You're engaging in a dialogue.
This is all starting to click. We've got the structured approach with the Sandler submarine, this mindset shift towards equal business stature,
Right?
and now these powerful questioning techniques to guide the conversation.
Exactly.
What else can we pull from Garrido's toolbox?
Well, before we dive deeper into specific questions, let's talk about qualifying prospects.
Okay.
The book is really big on weeding out those maybes early on in the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That's right. Qualifying is like making sure that submarine hull is strong enough to handle the pressure before you dive too deep.
Right.
You don't want to waste time and resources chasing prospects who weren't a good fit for your solution.
So how does Garrido suggest we go about qualifying effectively?
Well,
What kind of questions should we be asking up front?
it's about being direct, but also respectful.
Okay.
Instead of just sending a brochure when a prospect says, "Tell me more," try something like it.
Okay.
Sometimes when I hear that, it means someone isn't really serious.
Is that the case here?
Oh, that's bold.
Yeah,
But I see how it would quickly separate the window shoppers from the serious buyers.
exactly.
You're not afraid to have a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation early on.
It's about valuing your time and theirs.
Yeah.
This approach helps you focus on prospects who genuinely need what you offer and are ready to have a real discussion.
Okay, so we're being upfront and asking those tough qualifying questions.
Right.
But I'm curious,
Yeah.
what about tonality?
Oh, yeah.
Does the book address how our delivery impacts the effectiveness of these questions?
Absolutely. Garrido emphasizes that how you say something is just as important as what you say.
Okay.
And it all ties back to those ego states we were discussing earlier.
So how do we use tonality to engage each of those ego states?
Think about it this way.
Okay.
If you wanted to reassure a worried child, you wouldn't use a harsh or authoritative tone.
Right.
You'd use a soft, soothing voice that conveys empathy and understanding.
That's the nurturing parent voice. And it's incredibly effective in sales.
So if I'm trying to uncover a prospect's pain points and really understand their challenges,
Yeah.
I might use that nurturing parent tone when asking questions like, how long has this been an issue for you? Or what have you already tried to address this?
Precisely. That gentle, caring tone encourages them to open up and share their experiences without feeling judged or pressured.
Okay.
You're creating a safe space for them to be vulnerable.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's about building rapport and establishing that trust before you even start talking about solutions.
Exactly. And this leads us to another crucial aspect of the Sandler system,
Oh.
attitude.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What does the book say about attitude?
Garrido firmly believes that the impossible is often just a limiting belief. He uses the example of Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile.
Right. It was considered physically impossible for so long.
But once Bannister shattered that belief, suddenly everyone started breaking it.
Yeah.
It's incredible how quickly what we believe to be true can shape our reality.
Exactly. And for salespeople, this means cultivating a winning attitude.
Okay.
You need to truly believe that you can achieve anything you set your mind to, including closing those seemingly impossible deals.
So it's not just about asking the right questions.
Right.
It's about approaching every interaction with confidence and determination.
And that confidence comes from practice and mastery.
Okay.
Just like any other skill you need to hone your questioning abilities until they become second nature.
Right.
One technique Garrido suggests is to practice asking questions about the questions you are asked.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
like you're taking control of the conversation to a whole new level.
It's about going beyond the surface and digging deeper to uncover the real meaning behind those questions.
Right.
Instead of simply answering, yes, we can do that, try responding with,
Okay.
can you tell me more about what's behind that question? Or why is that so important to you right now?
This approach seems like it would be particularly helpful when dealing with those tricky questions or objections that often throw salespeople off their game.
Absolutely. Instead of getting flustered or defensive, you're using the question as an opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of your prospect's needs and concerns.
It's like you're saying, I want to make sure I'm giving you the best possible answer, so help me understand where you're coming from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This leads to another key takeaway:
Okay.
the importance of a robust qualification process.
Okay.
Garrido points out that having a qualification process that's too easy actually makes closing the deal much harder later on.
That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Why would a simpler qualification process hinder the sale?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
If you're not asking those tough questions up front and really vetting your prospects, you might end up investing a lot of time and energy into opportunities that were never a good fit in the first place.
So you're essentially building a leaky submarine. It might look fine on the surface, but it's going to spring a leak when you get into deeper waters.
That's a great analogy.
I tried.
And to prevent those leaks, you need to be willing to have those potentially uncomfortable conversations early on.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask about budget decision-making authority or their timeline.
It's about separating the maybes from the yeses as quickly as possible.
Right. And remember that example from earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the prospect who says, just send me a brochure.
Right.
The Sandler-trained salesperson might respond with,
Okay.
sometimes when I hear that, it means someone isn't really interested.
Uh-huh.
Is that the case here?
It's a bold move, but it forces them to clarify their intentions.
And it reinforces that idea of equal business stature.
Right.
You're not just a passive order taker. You're a valuable resource who deserves respect and honesty.
Okay, this is all incredibly helpful.
Good.
So we've covered structuring the sales process, establishing equal business stature, understanding buyer psychology, reversing questions, qualifying prospects,
Right.
and even how our attitude impacts our effectiveness.
But we're not done yet.
Oh, there's more.
There's one more powerful technique that Garrido highlights.
Okay.
The universal yes.
Now I'm really intrigued. Tell me everything about this universal yes.
Okay. It's a type of question that's designed to elicit agreement from the prospect no matter what.
Okay.
You're essentially leading them down a path where the only logical answer is yes.
That sounds like a powerful way to keep the conversation moving in the direction you want.
Exactly.
But how do you actually craft these universal yes questions?
Okay.
Give me an example.
Let's say you're trying to schedule a meeting.
Okay.
Instead of asking what time works for you, you might say,
Yeah.
so that we could dive deep into your needs and explore potential solutions. Let's schedule a 45-minute meeting for next Tuesday at 2:00 p.m.
Okay.
Does that sound fair?
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah.
You're not really giving them a choice.
Right.
You're framing the meeting as a given, and all they have to do is confirm the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because you phrase it in a way that sounds reasonable and beneficial to them,
Right.
they're much more likely to agree.
So you're taking control of the situation, but you're doing it in a way that doesn't feel pushy or aggressive.
Right. It's subtle, but very effective.
Yeah.
Garrido encourages salespeople to use this technique throughout the sales process, from the initial contact to closing the deal.
It's like you're gently nudging them toward the outcome you want without them even realizing it.
Right.
This is brilliant.
Now, let's not forget the power of reversing those tough questions, too.
Oh, right.
Remember, you don't have to answer them directly.
We talked about reversing earlier.
Yeah,
But can we dig a little deeper into how it works in practice?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's say a prospect hits you with that classic objection.
Okay.
Your price is too high.
Right.
Instead of immediately jumping into a defensive mode, try reversing it.
Okay.
I understand when comparing prices, what factors are most important to you.
That's brilliant. You're acknowledging their concern, but you're also shifting the focus to understanding their priorities and evaluation criteria.
Exactly. And this often leads to uncovering needs that they haven't even voiced yet,
Right.
giving you valuable insights to tailor your response.
It's like you're turning a potential roadblock into an opportunity to deepen the conversation.
Exactly.
So we're using these universal yes questions and this reversing technique throughout the entire sales process.
Precisely. Garrido even suggests using them when setting up that initial meeting.
Like how,
listen.
give me a specific example.
Let's say you're trying to schedule a meeting with a prospect.
Okay.
Instead of simply asking, are you available next Tuesday? Try saying,
Okay.
to ensure we have ample time to thoroughly explore your needs and tailor a solution. I'd like to schedule a 45-minute meeting for next Tuesday.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Ah, I see. You're framing it as a strategic discussion, not just a casual chat.
Right.
And by specifying the time, you're subtly taking control of the scheduling process.
Right. And it sets a clear expectation up front for what the meeting will entail.
This is incredibly helpful. It's amazing how a few subtle shifts in language can make such a big difference in how the interaction unfolds.
And all of this comes back to those upfront contracts we discussed earlier. Remember, a Sandler-trained salesperson is constantly confirming agreements and setting the stage for the next step.
Those upfront contracts seem to be a key element of the Sandler system.
They are. They eliminate surprises, reduce anxiety, and create a genuine sense of collaboration throughout the entire sales process.
Okay, so we're being upfront about our intentions, we're asking insightful questions, and we're using those universal yeses to guide the conversation.
Right.
But what about those inevitable tough conversations that arise in sales?
Yeah.
How does the Sandler system help us navigate those tricky situations? Those difficult conversations are definitely a reality in sales.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for ways to make them less stressful and more productive.
Well, the Sandler approach encourages you to shift your perspective. Instead of viewing those tough conversations as confrontations, see them as opportunities for collaboration and problem solving.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
Can you give me a concrete example of how this works in practice?
Think back to that price objection we discussed earlier.
Okay.
Your price is too high.
Right.
Instead of getting defensive or launching into a detailed explanation of your pricing model, a Sandler-trained salesperson might say,
Okay.
I understand your concern.
Yeah.
Help me understand your budget constraints for this project.
Okay, so you're still acknowledging their concern.
Right.
But you're also shifting the focus to understanding the situation and working together to find a solution.
Exactly. By asking clarifying questions and genuinely seeking to understand their perspective, you transform a potentially adversarial situation into a collaborative one.
This is a much more constructive approach than just trying to overpower them with arguments.
Right.
It takes the pressure off both sides.
And it opens up the possibility of finding creative solutions that might not have been apparent before.
Right.
Maybe there's a way to adjust the scope of the project, or perhaps there are other factors they're prioritizing over price.
It's like you're saying, let's work together to figure this out.
Exactly. Now, there's another subtle yet powerful technique that Garrido highlights in the book.
Okay.
Asking for permission.
Asking for permission.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how does that play into the Sandler system?
It's about respecting the prospect's time and attention.
Okay.
Instead of just launching into your pitch or trying to overwhelm them with information, you pause and ask a question like, would it be okay if I share a few thoughts that might be relevant to your situation?
That's such a simple shift, but it completely changes the dynamic.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling bombarded, they feel like they're in control.
Right. By asking for permission, you're giving them the opportunity to opt in.
Yeah.
Which makes them much more receptive to what you have to say.
It's like you're saying, I value your input, and I want to make sure I'm addressing your specific needs.
Precisely. Now let's go back to those universal yeses.
Okay.
We've talked about how they can be used to guide the conversation and even schedule meetings.
Right.
But Garrido also provides some really interesting examples of how they can be used to introduce features and benefits.
Okay, this is where I start to see how all these techniques fit together.
Yeah.
Give me an example of how a universal yes can be used to subtly highlight the value you offer.
Let's say you're talking about a specific feature of your product or service.
Okay.
Instead of just rattling off a list of benefits, you might say, can I share with you what our clients typically tell us about this feature and how it's helped them achieve X result?
That's clever.
Yeah.
You're not boasting or making grand claims. You're inviting them to learn from the experiences of others.
Exactly. It's a much more subtle and persuasive approach than just saying our product is the best.
It's like you're providing social proof without even having to explicitly ask for it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're leveraging the power of testimonials and case studies in a way that feels organic and conversational.
So we're using these universal yeses, we're reversing questions, we're asking for permission, and we're constantly striving to transform those tough conversations into collaborative problem-solving sessions.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new way of thinking about sales is emerging.
And it all starts with those insightful questions.
Right.
Remember, as Garrido emphasizes throughout the book, the quality of our questions determines the quality of our results.
This has been an incredible deep dive into asking questions the Sandler way.
Yeah, it has.
I feel like I have a whole new set of tools to approach my sales conversations with more confidence and intentionality.
And remember, these tools are designed to help you build genuine relationships, uncover real needs, and create win-win outcomes for everyone involved.
It's not about manipulation or trickery. It's about understanding human psychology and using that knowledge to guide the interaction in a positive and productive direction.
Exactly. Now, here's one final thought to ponder as you put these techniques into practice.
Garrido suggests asking for referrals at the end of every sales interaction, regardless of whether the deal closes or not.
That's a bold move, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
You never know what opportunities might arise from those unexpected connections.
Exactly. So there you have it, your deep dive into asking questions. The Sandler way.
Wow.
Remember, it's all about understanding, connecting, and ultimately helping your prospects achieve their goals. Happy questioning.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Better Every Day. We hope you found some actionable insights to help you on your self-improvement journey. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on future deep dives. And if you're on YouTube, hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, small steps every day lead to big changes. See you next time.